Show you how to create Gmail labels and filters. So as you're going out your day, you might get incoming emails from suppliers or from customers or from software vendors, all sorts of different stuff. So a great way to keep organized with stuff is to add filters and labels. On the left-hand side here, you can see this little label looking thing here, and that's what a label is. And I've created one here for this supplier called Baxton Studio, and so I'm going to go through and create some more now. So as you receive emails, obviously the first thing you do is you want to read it and see if it's important. If it is important, then you can go and click this little star over here and save it for later, and then you'll be able to always refer to all your starred emails that you need to follow up on by just clicking that start, and that'll bring all of them up. Okay, so that's out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and create a label now for this one. So this is from moshomecollection.com, right? So what I can do is I can, copy the name, or maybe like make it look prettier like this. Create a label here. Create a new label, Mo's Home Collection, and hit create. That's been added there now. I can also hit these three buttons and go down to filter messages like this. Anything from that email address in the future, I can create a filter. I don't want to do anything but apply the label that we just created and also apply it. Okay, so that's done. So now anything in the future will be labeled that. So if you do want to refer to anything, specifically that vendor, you can always just click that vendor's name, right? The same here goes for Summit Appliance. I'm going to do the same thing. In fact, you can skip the label creation process if you want. Just go straight to create a filter. I still need to copy the name here, so copy the name. Actually, this one is a sales email, so I'm not sure what the thing is all about. It's kind of Mailchimp app.net, yeah, so it's kind of meant to like not be filtered. Probably sends from a different one every time. We're just going to archive that. Not very important. Here's one that I can do though. Sunset Trading, that's a supplier. So I filter messages like this, and I go create filter from that person, apply the label, new label, trading, and it's been done. All right. So as you can see, it's a really simple process. Baxton Studio, okay. So is there any way I can copy that exact word? Right, that's wholesale interiors / Baxton Studio. I'm gonna go see if it has like, wholesale interiors right here. It says that, but I know it's also Baxton Studios, so I'm gonna call it. And this is some weird like listserv thing, so I'm not really sure if it's gonna be filterable after that. So here we go. All right, this is cool. Chrissy Kim. So this is more like the. I think this is a person that does the management for them, so just go ahead and do that. Apply the label, Baxton Studio. Okay, so anything from her will go there now. Who's this for? The Legion. Okay, well, I'll just copy the name in this case because I can't really find it anywhere. Create new label. Furniture. All right, that's done. So as you can see, it's really easy to do, and now I have a bunch of different labels over here that have the emails in them, and in the future more will get added to that as well, which is really cool. So I don't know why all these got added to that label. Maybe because it was a thread or something like that ended up getting added to it. I'm not quite sure. But if you do want to go to manage labels, it's really easy. Edit. And actually, oh yeah, by the way, you're not going to edit the label, you're going to edit the filter. So if you just go to settings and go to filters and blocked email addresses, then you can look at the settings here that you have created. Twitter, delete it, e-logistics, my homes collection, sense of trading back to Legion. So anything, okay, so yeah, it just got created wrong. I don't know why that got created the way it did, so let's go ahead and just delete that filter. So yeah, if you need to delete a filter because it got entered wrong, just go over here and delete in settings. Okay. And you can unapply as well. Oops. I think I just unapplied a bunch of other ones too by accident. There we go. Okay, I just want to take that out. Alright, cool. So I removed those from there. So it should no longer be going on. Alright, well anyways, that's how you do that, guys. So go through, organize your Gmail inbox, and you'll really enjoy the ability to go back and find things like invoices and communications that you had with that supplier. Same thing goes for customers. In fact, you can make sub-labels. Let me actually show you how to do that right now. So if you have a supplier, for instance, you have like different reps you want to work with at a particular supplier, you can create Sunset Trading as the main label, and then you can create a new label even, nest it under Sunset Trading and call it that person's name, dash the main label, and then filter it. So anything from her will get applied to that label, which is a sub-label. Okay, so now you get Sunset Trading, and then you get specifically her. So if it came from somewhere else there, it would go there too. All right, that's how that works, which is really cool. You can create a label for, like, for instance, for customers, and then you'd have like a sub-label for each customer or something like that if you had different conversations you wanted to refer back to. Obviously, a great way to search is also by anything. Like you can search from, you can search where it was sent to, the subject has the words, doesn't have the words, if it's a different size, if it was sent a certain day. You could even search different folders, has an attachment, doesn't include chats. So there's tons of different ways you can search your mail inbox. So Gmail is really searchable, and obviously all that stuff is really cool. All right, and then quickly, you can also do add-ons. So if you go over to the very right, there's also sorts of add-ons that you can do. I highly suggest using the Google Tasks add-on. That's really cool. That's what I use. And you can also use the Google Keep for notes and Google Calendar. So those are really cool add-ons for productivity and staying productive throughout your workday. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next lesson. All right, guys. So we got the first order on Shopify store. So congrats when you get your first order. That's an awesome feeling. Cha-ching. And hopefully you have the mobile app installed, because if you do and you're logged in, you'll hear the cha-ching on your phone. So that's really cool. If you don't, then you can just go to the App Store and search for Shopify and get that downloaded onto your phone and log into your store from there. Anyways, so when your first order happens, a couple things will happen. And the first thing is that your Shopify payments might get put on hold. So they've been doing that a lot lately. Oh, you just heard that cha-ching? That was actually from a different store of ours where we just got an order, so that's pretty cool. Let's see, so your Shopify payments account is on hold is what it's telling me right now. Additional documentation required. We were unable to verify your Shopify payments account information. Please upload a payments business verification to continue receiving payouts. So all they want is basically a copy of your LLC formation documents, or if you're a sole proprietorship, your DBA documents. They want, let's see, I think that it tells you what else here. They want to get, yeah, here it is, business creation document, government photo ID, so like your ID or passport, proof of address, so basically a bank statement with your address on it, supplier invoice, invoices from the supplier which you're purchasing your inventory, which you should have after you send this order in. So if you want to just tell them, hey, I haven't ordered yet before, but I should be ordering soon, you can do that. And then social media links related to your business. So of course you can add those easily in there. So you should have everything. At any rate, this isn't the most pending thing. They will release your account. What you need to do first, though, is you need to actually go to your apps, and you need to make sure that your order is approved by Signified. But get that documentation back to them within a day or so. Anyways, if that doesn't happen to you, cool. But Shopify has been doing that a lot lately, especially on high-ticket orders, new stores that do high-ticket dropshipping. So when you get logged into Signified and you go to your dashboard, it should be pretty simple. You just click View Orders, and oops, there we go. There's one here, Martin Pereira. That's the one that I got, and it has been guaranteed. So it should say Guarantee Approved, and a little guarantee question mark here, or a little green approval seal. If it shows red or pending, like yellow, I think the other one is, don't ship it yet, right? And you can contact them. And of course, you can always go up here. If you click on this one, you can always go up here to this notes button. You can see the process they went through to approve it. So about the email address, email ties, career vice president of engineering at Triumph Aerospace Structures. So there you go. So there, you just need to see this information to make sure that it's guaranteed. Okay, so that's done, good. So now you can go ahead and watch the next video where I actually create the purchase order, edit the template, and send the email to the supplier. Okay, with that said, get back into that next video. Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you how to go about creating your purchase order that you can send to the supplier. So the order has been approved by Signified. If you just go into the order now, you go into the More Actions menu and click on Print with Order Printer. Okay, and here is the purchase order. I've actually customized this quite a bit already. And so what I did in the lesson was I gave you all this code right here. Take this code, just copy it, and go over to Invoice and hit Edit. And that'll take you here. So just select all and then replace it with the code here. And then what you can do is go here and you can add your company name up here. You don't need to, right? It'll have your website up here, which is all they need. And then it'll also have all this information down here, which is important to tell your supplier. First of all, dropship to, and then you don't need to include the price of the product, so I removed that. It says just the product name right here. Please charge the card on file. Please ship it using your shipping account if possible. Please send tracking information to the email address. If the item's out of stock or on back order, please let us know immediately. Any questions, email us. So that's usually what you need to know. If you find that you want to tell them more information or ask them more stuff, whatever, you can go down here into the template at the bottom. All you have to do is enter a new little P tag, which is for paragraph, and enter it just like one of these lines. And then make sure you close out with a /P tag. That's it. Okay, so you got that done. So now you can go ahead and print. And it should give you the option to save as a PDF. And if not, then hit change and choose that option on your computer. All right, and then you can save it to your computer. Okay, so what I did really quick was I went to my email and I found the initial email that they sent me. I wanted to look at their terms and conditions, so you might have to do this with your supplier too, because it's your first order. So you just want to make sure everything's going to work out right. So I'm looking at the product details and it looks like it's going to be small enough to fit in like a UPS ground shipment. It's only 25 by 47 by 14. And over here it says that packages can be up to 165 inches in length and girth combined to do UPS ground. So it should work out. If it's like, a bigger package or whatever, it might have to go freight. So with that understood, then everything should work out fine. So go ahead and email them. They have an orders here, so they might have a separate order email for yours. So just go to your email and go that. And you might want to tag your other email address, just to make sure that you get the email in both inboxes. And subject line, purchase order, and just call it the same purchase order for the one that you got. Where is it here? Here it is. Purchase order 1003. And go ahead and what I usually do is I like to say, copy that in the email and say purchase order attached. Please charge a card on file, product using your shipping account if possible. Please send tracking information to. If the item is out of stock, please let us know if you have any questions. Cheers, Trevor. It should actually automatically put the signature in the email, so you don't have to do that. And go ahead and attach it. Okay, and should be good. So go ahead and hit send. And you should hear back from them within the first half of the business day. If you send it later in the business day, you might not hear back from them till the next day. But if you don't hear back from them within 24 hours, definitely follow up with some sort of an email and phone call combination.
right? And then as soon as it ships out, they'll be sending you the email for the shipment tracking, and that will be in the next video on how to process that. So see you guys in the next video. All right, guys, so I have received the tracking and invoice from the supplier. So I can do two things now. I can process the tracking info in Shopify and then enter the shipping costs and the invoice number into the bookkeeping spreadsheet. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So your supplier may or may not look like this when they send you an invoice. Every supplier is different, so it really just depends. Number one, they have an invoice here, and then they have a and then they have the card transaction here. So we'll go ahead and look at the invoice first. So it's addressed out to me, which is good. And here's the tracking number right here, FedEx Freight. So they did have to ship a freight. It did cost $229.65, a little bit more than I thought it would be, but that's okay. We still profited, so that's all right. So now we can go into the order here. I did get this last night, so I already went ahead and marked it as fulfilled just so the customer would have it right away. It's like in the middle of the night my time, so I wasn't really up to making a video at that time, but there will be a little button here that says, mark order is fulfilled, and you'll have to click that. And in there, you can you can enter the tracking information, and tracking number, you just enter that in there, and then choose the carrier, and then send the customer that. And then after that, you can track the shipment. And so you really definitely want to do that because you want to make sure that the customer is going to be able to track their shipment. Okay, cool. So scheduled delivery is Thursday the 12th, and that is coming up pretty soon, so that's awesome. Things are going good, so that's great. All right, so the customer received an email already, and I haven't heard back from them, so all is good there. And yeah, so now we can go ahead and just enter this invoice into our bookkeeping spreadsheet. So go ahead and pull that up really quick here. Okay, so to enter that into the bookkeeping spreadsheet, I just need to make sure that I've correctly entered the product price. So I'll go into the month of July. That's what it's in right now. Okay, and so product price, sale price $17.19, that's fine. Product price $1169.35 is what I entered, and that is correct. Shipping cost, it's right there, and then no vendor credit card fee. And my gross profit was $191.59. So gross profit, I call it that because it's before ad costs, marketing costs, things like that. So this is the gross profit on that order. So anyway, that's not that great. I would really want to see 25–30% gross profit, but sometimes with dropshipping you just can't avoid it, and sometimes these freight costs really do eat into your margins a lot. So just be aware of that. But that's still pretty good. $200 so far, so that's great. Now you can always go to your summary here, and what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to see your bookkeeping spreadsheet totals all here. So once you start getting a bunch of orders, you'll be able to go see the total of the amount you've sold, the total after any like taxes you've collected and stuff like that, and merchant fees right there. And then you'll be able to see the total, cost of all this stuff and the total gross profit that you made, along with your net profit, because it totals your expenses here as well, since your expenses are there. So now I can see so far that I've spent, $200, close to $200, whatever. So now I just made $191, and I've only had $29 in expenses so far this month, which is great. I haven't invested a whole lot since that, and I've now profited $162. So this is not including ad costs, which are actually pretty low so far this month, but that's great. And it's only one sale, of course. So now my net profit's only $219. So one more sale down, and I will have broken even already on this business. So again, such a low-cost business startup model. It's really great. Okay, so with that said, guys, you've now sent the customer their tracking information, and you've entered in the bookkeeping spreadsheet. You can move on to the next step. We'll see you in the next video. Okay, so in this video, we're going to order the free gift for the customer. So pretty straightforward process. You just go to the product page on Amazon, make sure you're ordering the right one, and add it to cart. Okay, and then just proceed to checkout. All right, then what we're going to do is change the shipping address to their shipping address. So it's kind of like drop shipping using Amazon, but we're just going to be doing it for this particular order. And Amazon doesn't mind. So just copy and paste their info in. Choose your payment method that you want to use. I'm going to have to pause the video here because I have to re-enter the card number. Okay, that's done. Use this payment method. Make sure the billing address is correct. Okay, and then choose the free 2-day shipping. If you want, you can have it, delayed, but it's probably nice just to do the free 2-day shipping. The one thing you do want to do is add a gift receipt. So this is the important part. So you want to do this. Hi, Martin. Thank you so much for your order. Enjoy your free gift at efireplacedirect.com. Yes, and then add like a little thing, get 5% off your next order with code. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and really quick actually add that discount code in here. So that's something you can do just to get people coming back to your store. Marketing can be done in every step of the process. Oh, it's already 5%. Perfect. Okay. All right. Gift receipt is going to basically make it so that they don't get the price on the invoice. All right, and that's it. Place your order. And there you go. So everything is done and will get shipped out and arrive a day after his fireplace will arrive. So that's awesome. And go ahead and move into the next video.
All right, guys, so in this lesson, I'm going to talk about how to handle warranty and shipping damage issues. So when things happen and they go wrong, the first thing you just have to understand is that the customer's probably pissed off. So some customers are crazier than others. Some customers are really chill about stuff. Some customers are just psychotic and ridiculous. So it really just depends on how the customer initially approaches you as to how you should kind of approach them and talk to them. Because if they're crazy and stuff, your goal should really be to calm them down, to provide them with some sort of like a solution right away. Just think to yourself, like, what is their biggest fear? And usually their biggest fear is their money. So it's like getting scammed. They're not getting their money's worth, that kind of a thing. So if the first thing you offer them is just a full and complete refund right away, it usually alleviates their fears, even if you don't do that. But just offering it right off the bat, hey, no problem. Just to throw it out there, the first thing is that we can give you a full and complete refund, no problem. And then that's going to just like totally calm them down and help them to like be emotionally stable to work through the process of your warranty. So the way it works is usually with dropshipping, we're going by the supplier's warranty, and every manufacturer has a warranty. And so if there's something wrong with the product, like it's not working, then it has to be diagnosed, and then the manufacturer has to send parts to the customer, and then the customer has to fix the product. So it's just that's the process. That's the way warranties go. And a lot of times people will go to physical retail stores because they know it's easier to deal with warranty issues if they do happen. Because usually the store will get the part and then they'll do the service. Now, if the part gets shipped to the customer directly, of course, they are going to have to do this replacement of it, or they're going to have to hire somebody to do it for them. And it just depends on the product, and what it is. So that's how warranty processes go. So you just kind of have to go back and forth between the supplier and the customer. And sometimes the supplier will want you just to have the customer go directly to them for the warranty. Like they'll have a warranty portal and stuff like that. And sometimes they don't. So just depends on your supplier. And that's pretty much how that goes. With shipping damage, it's a little bit different. You have to give your customer a heads up, or at least put it on your website, that no matter what, they need to inspect the product before they sign off for it. Now that's not always possible, so the best thing is for them is like if there's damage to the carton on the outside, then they need to put that as a note on there, so that the shipping company knows. Because once the customer signs off on it, then they've accepted responsibility, and now the shipping company will not honor any kind of a dispute. like a shipping damage dispute, and they will force you to pay to have the product shipped back if it's unusable. So that's the unfortunate case. And unfortunately, even if you tell customers that, they're just going to do that. And during the pandemic, it was pretty tough. And UPS and FedEx, they were just throwing packages on people's porches. They weren't even having people sign it, even if you paid extra for the signature. So it's just, things happen. The way you just want to work through it and figure out, okay, what is it that's broken? Let's get the part to replace it. Sometimes manufacturers don't have the part in stock, and you have to wait a while, which is unfortunate too. It's just one of those things. And sometimes customers will demand like a discount or something like that. It's up to you whether you do that, whether you have the margins for it or not. Usually what I recommend is you start off with something small and then you just work up from there. And if the customer has insane, crazy demands and they just never give up, you really can just ignore them, their demands, that is, and just talk about what the process is and how it goes. You really are the one in control. The one thing you should be aware of is that customers can file chargebacks. So, but usually if the product has been delivered to the customer, even if they do file a chargeback, they're not going to win the chargeback because they have the product still. So even if they file a dispute, like product not received, damaged, or not as expected or something like that, they're not going to win the chargeback because they have to actually send the product back in order to get that chargeback to win or to get a refund. So they're still going to have to send it back, and a lot of times the sending back process is expensive, right? Because it's a big product. So either the customer is going to have to pay for it, or the supplier is going to have to pay for it, or you're going to have to pay for it. Somebody's going to have to pay for it. So it really depends on like whose fault it is. But usually to take care of the customer, the supplier will pay for it, or they'll split it with you. Or if the customer just, it's buyer's remorse or something and they're cool about it, maybe they'll pay for it and they'll just ship it back themselves. But if it's shipped and it's damaged, usually the supplier will pay, to have it shipped back to them. And yeah, so that's done via, like, if it's more complicated if it's freight, if it's like a big product, then you got to like pelletize it and have the trucking company come pick it up and all this crazy stuff. But if it's not, if it's just like a box like UPS or FedEx, then they can just come and, the label gets sent via email, and then the customer will print a PDF out, put it on the box, that kind of stuff. I'm sure you guys have probably done that in your own experiences as being a consumer online. So that's just how it goes. That's how you handle warranty and shipping damage issues. There's lots of little intricacies. You just kind of work through it, and just keep in mind that you want to try to take care of the customer as much as possible, and always just try to be nice, because at the end of the day, they also have the opportunity to go online and leave reviews about you on social media and, YouTube and whatever else. And I've had crazy customers do that. And if they didn't like something, the way something worked out or whatever, they're just crazy people. They'll just go online and leave bad reviews all over the place. And it's just annoying. Eventually they'll get tired of it and they'll stop. I even had one crazy customer create or have some sort of like a calling system, and he did tons of spam calls to my store, and my team had to deal with it, and we had to figure out what was going on, and it was like some robotic voice, and it was crazy. And eventually it stopped, but that was a weird situation, and that was during the pandemic too. But anyway, so that's just how it goes, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. You can leave a comment below. I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks. internal team to make sure that certain things get taken care of, especially things like back orders and follow-up. I'll see you in the next lesson. Alright guys, in this lesson I'm going to show you how to use Shopify order comments to communicate with your internal team on specific issues related to orders and customers. So first of all, customers and orders are two different parts in Shopify, but we're usually dealing with orders, right? Because orders are the actual actions customers have taken with us that need specific actions taken with them. So we'll get into an order that we had recently. And this one at first was back ordered, and then we upgraded them, so now it's in stock. And it's shipping out, but it hasn't shipped yet. So we have it marked as shipped, even though it hasn't shipped yet. I was just doing that in the last video, but the back order tag that was there, it was removed. And now it's awaiting shipment. And you can also view all your tags here, in case you have any. Okay, so here is the comment section. Comments are really cool because you can tag, by using the @ sign, any of your other workers that are on your website. So these are my VAs right here, and then this is, I believe, the account Juliana uses. So if I wanted to tag my customer service VA, and say, has this order shipped yet? Post it. What that's going to do is notify that person via email that I commented on an order. So that VA that you have should have their own email address, or if not, at least they're using your customer support email address, and that email will wind up there. And so you can kind of get in there on a day-to-day basis and sort of manage things. And if you want to follow up on orders and make sure that they're getting followed up on, you can just simply drop them a note and ask them to follow up on it every day. And that's a really good way to do that. And then your VA should then enter some sort of a comment in there once they get an order back. They'll say, no, it hasn't, ETA or estimated ship date is, and then they'll give you a date out, 10 days or something like that. So 11/21 or something like that, they'll say. And then so every time you then look into that order, you'll be able to see, oh, okay, the estimated ship date is 10 days from now. Great, so now I know that I don't need to necessarily follow up with this. You can even, if you want to be really proactive, you can even click the order contact information email right here and just drop them a quick line. Maybe a templated email says, hey, just wanted to follow up. Make sure it's still, your order still hasn't shipped yet, but it's estimated to ship the same day still. Well, if you have any questions, let us know. That kind of thing is really cool. Just following up with customers on a regular basis is really nice. Manually, there's also obviously automated ways to do that through Klaviyo, but for now we're just going to be doing a lot of things manually, and then we'll get into more Klaviyo automations as time goes on for email marketing. So that's how you use order comments for internal communication. You can also reference certain other orders. So if you have like two orders that are the same, like for this one, I can reference is also for same customer upgrade to model that's in stock, and then post, so that now you know that that order that order is the same order for that one, right? It's just a nice way, because then you can easily click through to that order. So when you have a lot of orders coming in, and then there's order that's related, it's an upgrade order or whatever, it's separate. You can just tie it in there in the comments, and it's really easy then to tell what that is. You can also add emojis, just so that you are having fun. That's always a good thing, to have fun while you're doing business. And then one more thing I do is whenever we get a supplier invoice or shipping label or anything, you always can attach the file right here. So I don't have it for this one yet, but you can attach it and then leave it as a comment and say, order is shipped, or here's the invoice. And what I like to do is leave the invoice attached here on every single order that I get, so that in the future I can just go back into the order and pull the invoice from the supplier right from there. So it's a really easy way to keep track of that kind of stuff. It's all into the system. The coolest thing about that is when you do sell the site in the future, of course, all the invoices are going to be into the orders themselves as a comment. So it's really easy for the new owner to get those actual invoices and double check that all the margins that you're claiming on your bookkeeping sheet are actually true. Yeah, that's it for now, guys. So use the comments for internal communication, use it for keeping track of your invoices, use it for tying orders together. It's a really good way to do CRM, and it's all based in Shopify. So it's the easiest way to do it. So all you need to do every day is just pull up your orders that are pending at whatever level that they're pending at. Maybe you just want to pull up your back orders first, follow up on those, make sure they're being taken care of. Follow up on your awaiting fulfillment orders. Anything that's been shipped, you just wanted to follow up on your customers on that. That's fine too. But I think back orders and awaiting fulfillment are the most important ones. So make sure you're doing that on a daily basis, and that's the way to do it. I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Hey guys, welcome to the lesson on Sales 101 in the High-Ticket Dropshipping Masterclass. So a lot of this business is going to be selling over the phone or via email, very rarely in person, but mostly on the phone and email. And what you're going to be dealing with is trying to find a solution to somebody's problem. So the number one thing with sales that I always teach people, that I learned first of all, is a thing called solution selling. It's the easiest way to go about with selling, because instead of focusing on closing a sale, you're focusing on finding a problem or a solution for someone's problem. And it feels better that way because you don't feel like you're being too salesy, and you're really only going to be selling somebody something when they truly need it, and it's actually going to be right for their needs. And that's the key thing. And when you find something that's actually the right thing for somebody's needs, they decided that you've asked them some questions that determine that is actually a fact, then the sale closing should be a lot easier to do, and you should also not have to offer any discounts in order to close that sale. The sale should be able to be closed simply just by asking them for their credit card information, for instance. There's a lot of ways to close sales, but to get to that point where you can close a sale, you have to think of finding a solution to somebody's problem first. So to do that, you just have to go back to the very beginning of why they're asking that question. Most of the traffic we drive to our websites, first of all, is very targeted traffic, meaning they already know what they want to buy. But some of the traffic is not that way. So for the traffic that is not somebody who already knows what they want to buy, is just looking for the best solution, you're going to have to probably do a sales call with them, take a call from them and answer some questions, FAQs about the product, and then you're probably just going to have to go over some questions about their life and what their needs are, so that you can determine if that product actually is the right fit for them or not. This depends from niche to niche. We used to sell electric bikes, mobility scooters, things like that, and a lot of the issues were, is this product going to be right for my needs? A lot of people had very specific issues. They were trying to get the product to solve a specific problem, right? So we had to make sure, if they're looking at a product, that they ask about that product, we have to make sure, why are you looking at that product? Why is it that you decided this product was the one that you're interested in? Is it because you have certain needs? Are these needs that you actually have? And then we would ask them those questions, and they would tell us, yes, that's actually something I need. We could say, great, this is an excellent solution. However, there's also these other solutions. This one either higher price and more value, or lower price and more, of a deal, right? And so we have to determine what their budget is. And if they don't have a budget, if they can spend whatever they want, then we always go for the more expensive, nicer product that's going to deliver a better experience for them. However, if they're working on a budget, then we go for a more value-oriented product, lower cost with similar features. So you have to figure out where they are, what they're comfortable with buying, price-wise, what exactly their needs are, and then determine a series of comparable products. So I usually try to go between 2 to 5 different products, and I keep it under 5 because you start going over there and you have a thing where people can't make up their mind. There's too many options. But if you can break it down to like 2 options, then it's really easy. It's either this or that. And then somebody is either going to choose based on a brand name that they like the most, because they've researched it and they've had a good experience with the marketing up to that point. They're going to go with the price that they like most, or they're going to go with something else like a color or a certain feature that they liked more. And then there's other variables as well, but those are the most common ones. And so your position there is to actually become a persuasive salesman. So you've now found a solution to their problem. Now it's your point in the sales closing the sale to actually persuade them to buy one over the other. And it's sort of like you making a recommendation at that point. So at first you find a solution to the problem, then you make a recommendation, and then if it sounds like a good fit for them and everything is working out well and they're ready, you can just ask them, hey, are you actually ready to buy this today, or do you need more time to think about it? And then they'll say, yeah, actually I want to get it right now. You can say, great, I can take that order over the phone for you right now. I just need some information from you. What's your name? And then you just start asking them very specific questions. And if they're ready, they're just going to go with the flow and go for it. If they're excited about it, they won't even skip a beat. They'll just start telling you their information. If they aren't ready at that point, it's kind of like a trial close, and if they aren't ready, they'll take you back to an objection, like, oh, I'm not sure yet, it's not the right time, I don't have the money, I need to speak to my wife about it, something like that, right? So there's always going to be some objection at that point, and then you just get their information, their phone number, email address, whatever, and follow up with them, ask for permission to follow up with them whenever they're comfortable with it, in a day, in a week, whatever, and put them on into your system as a customer. And in Shopify, I'll show you right now, you can do that. You go into the dashboard and go to customers, and when you're talking to somebody over the phone, you can always add a customer here. Just enter their you'll just ask their first name, last name, email, and phone number. You don't really need the address information. And then you can take all the notes you want, what they're interested in, and stuff like that. And you can tag customers according to what categories of products they're interested in, so you can organize customers that way. And if you were to look at your entire customer list, then you'd be able to look at filters, like the money that they spent on your website, the number of orders that they placed on your website, when the last time was they placed an order, or if they placed an order, the date you created them, if they abandoned an order, and the account status, and then tagged with. So like if you're looking up for customers that are tagged with leads or something like that, then you could do that, and then once they purchase, then you can remove that tag. But you can use the tag leads to follow up with like phone leads or email leads, whatever. You can use that in here, so you can always look in here into customers every day and do that. Now an obvious lead is going to be somebody who came through and went through an abandoned checkout sequence. So you can see here we got a couple of abandoned checkouts on our store, and I'll give you one specifically here that happened about a week or so ago. And this person went through the checkout and he entered all of his information, even his address and phone number and email address and everything, but he did not end up actually ordering, and he did not actually put his credit card information in either. So this definitely was sent a cart recovery email, but for whatever reason he wasn't interested, or he bought somewhere else, obviously. So that's another thing you can do. And abandoned checkouts are the same way. You can filter by status, recovery status, and email status. So there's all sorts of filters here, and once you get a bunch of sales, a bunch of abandoned carts, all this stuff, you can always create saved filters, and you'll be able to filter through all this stuff. Another way to do it is if you have a customer on your phone call, and you are taking an order from them. A good way to deal with them, especially if you know what product they're interested in, because usually they'll have some sort of an idea, is to create a draft order. So go to Orders, Drafts, and you can add the product information here. It'll pull it up, or you can browse your products. Browse by product type or tag, whatever you want. Add any specific product. And then you can write notes about what the customer is interested in or their specific situation. Find the customer if they're already on your site, or create a new customer. Add all their information here and hit Save Customer. It'll show up here. You can use tags like leads, and then it'll automatically enter that tag in the customer field, and you'll be able to see that under customers. And then when you're ready, you can email the invoice out. This is a cool one because you don't even need to add customer information to email the invoice out. You can just send to their email address right here, and then from your support at, and then make a subject line that's nice. Don't just put invoice, but like, hey, here's your information for the order, and then thanks so much for calling us, and here's the information on your order. And then send like some kind of an incentive to buy now, like a free gift or expiring coupon code, and then also say it's only valid for the next 24 hours, something like that, just to give them incentive to buy now. And you can even BCC it back to yourself, just so your team can see it, and that's always a good idea. So that's how you do that. And yeah, again, solution selling is just a great way to understand that you are going to establish the value, right, of what you're selling a little bit more than if you were to just try to close them on a product. This is good because the customer will feel like they got more value from you, and the law of reciprocity will come into play, and they'll want to order from you because they like you now, and they're not necessarily going to ask for the biggest discount or more free gifts. And if they do, then you can go back to them and say, hey, give them kind of a hard time, see how much I've helped you today, how much time I've spent with you on the phone. I'm a very busy person. We have a business going on, and we love to help you, but like we just if we're a small business, we don't make that big of margins. If we give you bigger discounts, then we'll be out of business. We won't be able to serve you. And then, you want us to be in business, right? And then he'll say yes. And then hopefully he'll, at that point, not ask for a discount anymore. But you can kind of give your customers a hard time. If they give you a hard time, that's perfectly fine. Kind of give them a little bit. But yeah, there's all sorts of things you can learn about solution selling, and I'll link to this Wikipedia article here because there's a lot of great things you need to understand about it. Everything from prospecting to diagnosing the customer's needs, like I talked about, crafting a solution, establishing the value of your business and your offering, understanding the buyer center decision-making unit. It's really good information there. The return on investment, which I just talked about, and your win-win solution. And that's the key here, guys. It's coming up with a win-win, something your customer is going to be winning with, something you're going to be winning with, profitable, and it's going to be worth your time. And the key here is that you want to make this customer a customer for life. So customer lifetime value is really important. You want them to come back over and over and over again, and you want them to refer all their friends to you as well. So we're going to be doing a lot more of that later on with email marketing and automation and social media marketing. But for now, just so you know, this is kind of the foundation of it all. And a lot of it happens over the phone, especially in niches where you're working with older people. So keep that in mind. And then, at the end of the day, everything, it depends on the follow-up. So make sure you're following up with your customers to ensure customer success, to ensure a happy customer, successful transaction, and they get the product and happy with it. And that's at the end of the day the win-win, right? Everybody wins that way. So provide excellent customer service, and that starts with solution selling. Hope you guys enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, this is Trevor again, and in this lesson I'm going to talk about how to close a sale over the phone or by email. So sales closing is a really good skill that you should learn when you're doing your high-ticket dropshipping business, when you're running it, because it's really important to know when somebody's ready to buy, and it's important to know how to do trial closes as well so that you can answer objections and decide if it's the right time to actually close a sale or not. So if you don't know a whole much about sales, I suggest you just go to Amazon and pick up some books on selling. Just type sales into the Kindle store and start reading a bunch of books. There's tons of books on how to sell and stuff like that. I spent hours and hours and countless hours learning sales techniques so that whenever I got on the phone or had an email conversation with a potential customer, I would know how to sell. But I wanted to make this short video because I can kind of just break down the most important things you need to know. So trial closing, first of all, is just getting somebody to say yes. Right? So it's asking them a question, whether they're, ready to move forward. Okay, well, it looks like this is a good kind of product fit for you. Would you agree? And then if they answer yes, that's a trial close, and that means you can move on to the close. So getting somebody to answer yes to a question like that is important, right? And if they say no, then it's important that you understand not to close, but to take them back to the beginning or to some part in the sales process to decide what the best product is for them. Let's say they're looking at one product and they're deciding whether to get that one or a different one on your website, and they have similar characteristics to them, and they're looking at different features and stuff like that and learning which one is going to be right for them, whatever it happens to be. So you want to help them go through that comparison stage. Now, it's important to also notice that the traffic you're sending to your website, you really want to focus on the traffic that already knows what they want to buy. That's the low-hanging fruit traffic. So that's why we definitely spend most of our money and time and attention in the product campaign of our Google Shopping campaigns. That's where the most of the money is. That's the good money, the easy money to make, easy money to keep, right? But over time, you're going to be building out your guides, and you're going to be attracting more traffic to your collections pages and also to other pages like blog posts, pre-sales pages. So it's important to be able to handle this kind of traffic, because that kind of traffic is not going to know exactly what they want yet. You're going to be doing this. A lot of it's going to be automated through email and through retargeting ads and stuff like that. But what you will end up doing, especially in niches, I've noticed where you have older people, the older the target market is, the more likely they're going to want to get on the phone with you and ask you some questions, right? The younger the target market, they're usually pretty much okay with either doing it on their mobile device or getting on their computer and looking up all the stuff that they need to look up and doing the research themselves. So be aware of that. So I'm going to go over some closing techniques here. On the screen, you'll see 4 closing techniques. Number 1 is the assumptive close, 2 is the option close, 3 is the suggestion close, and 4 is the urgency close. These aren't all the different ways you can close. There's way more different closes than this, but these are the 4 main ones that you want to get used to using. And it's always good to just kind of pick and choose in the moment, right? So just understand them, practice them a little bit here and there, maybe with your friends and when you're trying to get them to do something, or with your family when they're trying to get them to do something for you, or your kids if you want them to wash the dishes. Practice closing techniques, right? Closing techniques are really interesting because it's kind of like playing mind games with whoever you want to take action on what it is you want them to take action on. So the assumptive close is to ask them a question like assuming that they're already decided to buy. So if they answer that trial objection
yes, I think you're right, this is the right product for me, then it's like, okay, great, well then, when do you want it to get shipped out to you? And then if they say tomorrow, great, that's moving them along the sales process. And then the next thing could be like, okay, great, let me get your name and order information, I get it shipped out. What's your first name, last name? And so if they're ready to buy, they'll jump into that with you, no problem. They'll be super happy that you're willing to take their information over the phone and process their order and get the stuff taken care of, because if they need it, they know they want it, they trust you, well, then they're just ready to buy and they don't care. And so it's important to be able to understand when somebody in that particular moment, because if you like hesitate in that moment, and it could be detrimental to your close, right, to your sale, because then they might see that you're not a professional and that you just don't know what you're doing. So it's really important to understand when is the right moment to close, and also, like I said, when is not the right moment to close. You don't want to be trying to close somebody when they haven't quite decided if that's the right product. So if you use a close like this on somebody when you want to receive your shipment, then and then they say, well, I don't know, I haven't quite decided yet. Don't continue to try to close. Take them back to the beginning. Okay, yeah, if we haven't quite covered all these things in depth, maybe it's not the right time for you. Maybe you're just not quite ready yet to make that decision. I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Maybe you don't have the money, you need financing, right? So a lot of these objections you need to be able to handle in different ways. And so like the main one is like, it's not the right time, I want to order tomorrow. Okay, well then just get their follow-up information, get their contact information, and make sure you make a note to follow up with them. That's the best you can do. Number two is, I don't have the money to afford it, I need financing. It's like, okay, well, we offer financing, you can apply here and this is how to do it. And that's about as much as you can do. It's up to the financing company at that point whether they want to approve that person or not. So just keep that in mind. And then there's going to be other things like trust. So if they are going to ask you questions like, how long have you been around for, and can I trust you, and why should I buy from you, you can always refer them to your About Us page, and you can just read off your unique selling proposition checklist on your About Us page, all the cool things that you offer them. And if they're asking you for a better price, which you'll get quite often if you're on the phone with somebody, hey, can I get a discount? You can offer them your normal discount, but if they ask for more, then if you're uncomfortable with offering more, then start to go back to that unique selling proposition again. Tell them about the the free shipping and all the other things that you offer to your customer, best price guarantee, no sales tax, and all that stuff. So it's right there on your website in the header and those little square pictures. I'll show you an example right now. So on the case study store, deluxehomestore.com, right here in the little pictures right here are the unique selling propositions that we have. So if someone's on the phone with you and they're trying to get a lower price, go back to what you're offering them as far as value, so you can drive the value back up so they don't need a lower price anymore. Because the only reason they're asking for a lower price is because maybe they don't feel like they're getting enough value in exchange for the money that they're getting. So just remind them of the best price guarantee that you offer, the free shipping, which is very expensive. Just say it usually costs $300. We actually eat that shipping cost for you. No sales tax, satisfaction guarantee. We're backed up by Norton shopping guarantee. You can just say $10,000 identity theft protection, $1,000 purchase guarantee, $100 low price guarantee. You get that free with every purchase. We're backed up by TrustGuard. They scan our site quarterly. We have tons of awesome reviews, 5-star reviews. You can read them on the site. We take Discover, American Express, Visa, MasterCard, and 100% secure. And we are available customer service, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. Our website is open 24/7. If you just go over all of this with your customer when they're asking you for some sort of a discount, chances are it'll build trust and it will get them to not ask for a discount anymore, right? And of course, you can, if they ask about you and how long you've been around, just say, hey, go check out our About page and read the story. You can read about how we're giving back out to our community. Get them to like, know, and trust you, and they're probably not going to ask for much of a discount after that, just because they're going to like you, and then that law of reciprocity comes into play. Okay, so the next one is the option close. The option close is kind of cool. Usually you just have to, ask for their credit card. Hey, are you going to pay with a MasterCard or Visa? That kind of stuff. And that just gets them, again, just stop thinking about whether they're going to get it and start thinking about how they're going to pay for it, right? You're kind of using mind tricks to move their thought process from, am I really going to buy from this company, to, yeah, let's just get it right now, and yeah, I got to figure out how I'm going to pay for this. Let's move forward. So another option close would be, what size do you want? Do you want large or small? Well, what color do you want? Do you want brown or green? That kind of stuff. And you obviously want to make sure that's in stock. You can't just offer them a color and it not be in stock, because then you'll have to call them back, and that would be a pain in the butt. But if your item has these different offers, different options, then you definitely want to offer those. And of course, throughout the sales process, you want to make sure that you're not going to try to add on any products to the order right away. You want to get the initial sale first, And then right after the sale's done, then you can say, oh, and by the way, we also offer white glove delivery service. We offer expedited shipping, it's $29 this, because once they've closed that initial sale, then it's a lot easier to get them to buy more stuff, right? If you start adding on, hey, do you want white glove delivery, $300, you want expedited shipping, I don't know, now it's like, $1,500. It's not always the case, but a lot of times it does make it a harder decision for somebody to buy. So keep that in mind when you're selling over the phone. The website will do this automatically for you, following techniques with the apps and stuff that we set up, but over the phone, it's a little bit different process. Now, the suggestion close is kind of cool. So the suggestion close, this example, it says, based on what you've told me about your operations, I would suggest you receive orders on Fridays. It's kind of like a B2B thing, but you could just say, like, again, based on what you've told me about your needs, I would suggest you, get the size large and, medium oak color desk or something like that. So, the suggestion close is kind of cool, and it's kind of closer to a trial close because you're suggesting them something and recommending something, and then you can ask them, like, does this work for you, or would you agree? And then if they say yes, great, and then move on to one of these, option closes or assumptive closes. Okay, great. When would you like to receive it? Okay, great. Would you like to pay with Visa or MasterCard? It just, again, moves them forward. And then if they're still kind of having trouble, or if they're like on the fence about buying it today or tomorrow, the urgency close works really well. Just pull up your product page and look at it, and then look at your limited time offer that you have. And then don't be afraid to like really talk about it as if it's going away tomorrow, because that's what it looks like. And then if they come back tomorrow and they say, hey, it's still going, say, yeah, we continued it. So just go down to this offer page. Yeah, we currently have a 10% off sale going on right now. And it actually expires, looks like tonight at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. You even have a countdown right here. It says 15 hours from now it expires. So you definitely want to get this now while you can, or it might go back up to that $27.99 price instead of $21.99. And it's just consumer psychology. They don't know about all this marketing stuff. Most of the time they don't. Sometimes you'll find consumers that do, and they'll say, oh, it's just a marketing thing. But just keep in mind that like most people don't, especially consumers. So it's okay to do that kind of stuff on a phone call to get them to place the order now. And then again, like if they're like, they're pretty convinced, like, all right, well, yeah, then be like, okay, great. Would you like to pay with, Visa or MasterCard? When, would you like, to purchase, additional this or whatever. So keep that in mind, guys. These are some really good closing techniques. If I were you and you don't know a whole lot about sales yet, just pick up one of the books on Amazon.com. I'll go there right now and I'll show you some of my favorite selling books. In fact, I should probably make like an Amazon store here. I will eventually, but there's so many good books on selling. Brian Tracy's really good with selling. I definitely recommended that. Mike Kaplan is great. Yeah, I guarantee any of these are going to be really good. But the one I'm looking for is actually let's see. Yeah, The Psychology of Selling is a really good book. Brian Tracy is great at that. Selling 101. Zig Ziglar. This guy is a sales genius. He's not around anymore, but his book, Selling 101, one of the best that ever was written. So definitely check that out, guys. Go on Amazon, get some books, or just go on YouTube and type in how to sell. I took some courses on Udemy as well. Selling is just really key to this business model because, yes, you will get some calls sometimes and you'll deal with some emails and you'll just have to close sales. And closing is actually not that hard. And you really should build it as a skill set because it will serve you for the rest of your life, whether it be in personal relationships or professional relationships. And of course making money, which is the most important thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson and understand now some closing techniques. I'll link to this blog article in the bottom so you guys can go to it and probably make some resources of my own eventually on how to sell. So check that out and we'll see you in the next episode, next lesson.
On this video, I'm going to show you how to deal with a Shopify payment account hold issue. So we are currently running into this situation a lot now. This is 2019 in March, and Shopify seems like they're putting more emphasis on checking out all of their merchants that use their Shopify payments now. And I'm sure it's the banks that are actually pushing them to do that because they've had probably a lot of issues with the younger generation starting up dropshipping stores and trying to do this stuff, but not fulfilling orders correctly or whatever, and pissing people off, getting chargebacks, and banks don't want to deal with chargebacks. So they're forcing Shopify payments to do this. Regardless, all you have to do is just follow directions. So if they tell you to contact Shopify support, contact Shopify support. If they tell you to upload a document, upload a document. And just kind of follow that process, provide them everything that they're asking for. In this case, for me, it's a photo ID front and back, and that's it so far. And then to contact them actually at support, which is strange that they wouldn't just contact me first. But I'm going to upload the document, contact them. Just be friendly and be courteous. That's all you need to do, and hopefully it gets sorted out. If you have any questions with the kind of process, you can just always email me. Post in the group, though. That's the best place to get feedback from anybody else as well who's in the community. So hopefully it works out, which usually it does. If you're in the US, you should have no problems doing this. If you're abroad, you're probably going to have to set up a third-party payment provider like Stripe or Authorize.net and work that direction. Shopify does charge a 2% fee every order you use that does not go through the Shopify payments system or PayPal. So definitely you'll need to set that up just for conversion optimization, but you'll need to work that extra percentage into your profit margins as well if that ends up being the case for you. All right, thanks for watching. All right, guys, welcome to this lesson on updating a product when it's out of stock or has been discontinued. So, as you can see, this is the current Shopify view of the products. This is as of May 2020. So this is changing from time to time. Shopify is always updating this. It might look different by the time you see it. But one thing remains common is the inventory tracking status can be set to either inventory not tracked or the inventory is tracked, and then how many are in stock and whether it's allowed to actually sell or not still when it's out of stock. Okay, so I'm going to show you both examples here. All right, so this product is an example of one where the inventory is not tracked. I'm going to show you what it looks like here. When you don't have any variance, it'll show it right here, but since there's variance, it won't. So you have to go and check all the variance, and you can click here, continue selling when out of stock, or stop selling when in stock, or stop selling or continue selling, basically. Those are the two options you really have. And then you'll have to open the bulk editor, I believe, to actually set the stock quantity on each particular variant. Okay. Okay, so usually when you are out of stock on something, you want to stop selling it because using this system will save you ad spend, especially in the beginning. Maybe later on down the road when you have so many conversions that you don't really mind spending a little bit more to advertise out of stock products and maybe getting some of those back orders and stuff like that. That's fine too. It's really up to you whether you want to advertise for out of stock products or not. If you do want to advertise for out of stock products, you can choose to continue selling when out of stock. Okay, so that means that your products are still going to be running in Google Shopping ads, and that means that people can click them. It's going to cost you, and if they place their order, then possibly you're going to be out of stock, and you have to deal with the whole back order process at that point. But for a more streamlined process, we stop selling when out of stock. Okay, the only thing you have to keep in mind is that when it comes back into stock, your supplier may not actually update you on that. Okay, so you have to either do it yourself or have a VA do it, but always be checking with your suppliers to make sure they let you know when their products are back in stock so that you can keep selling it or continue to sell it. So on one end, you have the ability to continue to sell when you're out of stock, and then you don't have to do that, but you'll have to deal with the back orders and ad spend on products, and all that stuff. On the other hand, you don't sell when you're out of stock, so you don't deal with the ad spend, you don't deal with the back orders as much, and the biggest downside is that potentially when it comes back in stock, you won't know and you won't be able to update your website right away. You'll be missing out on quite a few sales when your competitors possibly are getting sales. So it's up to you guys. But as of right now, what I'm doing is I'm working on more of a lean method for my ad spend. So I am actually stopping selling when I'm out of stock, okay? And I'll show you how to update the actual stock. So in the bulk editor, you can go to add fields and track quantity. Okay, and you'll have to change this. Basically, if you click one and then drag it down, you can choose all of them, and choose that Shopify tracks the product's inventory. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So now you should be able to go back and actually update the stock on it somewhere. Quantities, here we go. So it's going to give you this whole which location. I'm going to edit quantities. So here's basically one product with a bunch of variants that are added that are basically like upsell variants. So we want to apply to all. how many we have in stock of that particular product in the upsell variance, okay? In this case, that's how this would work. So if we know that we have 0 in stock, we would hit save, and then there's this box right here that says 0, and you're good. Okay, and it's automatically updated. Now if we want to change one particular variant, if we want to say that it's in stock, or we know that Supplier has 5 in stock, you know, that kind of thing, we would change it to 5. There we go. Okay, so that's that. So that's really easy, and that's basically how it works when you have multiple variants on a product. If your product has no variants, you're going to see it really simply just right here when there's no variants, okay? So that's pretty easy to spot. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. When a product is discontinued, okay, you might want to put in the title discontinued, and then put like up here the same thing, you know, just kind of put it all over the place. And if it had variants before, I would just remove all the variants and, you know, just maybe make one variant that says like discontinued or something like that, so people know. And what I would do if it's discontinued is then in the product description, I would just put really clearly, I would erase all this stuff. I put this model is currently discontinued. Here is a link to all the Supplier's products, and here is a link to the one we recommend instead of this model. So those 2 links, then somebody will land on it organically. Of course, it'll be out of stock on your website, no longer being sold as well, and people will click links to other brand pages and click links to other product pages, okay? That's what I would do there. All right, so I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, comment below. Thanks a lot. Hey guys, welcome to the lesson on how to save money on shipping costs by using certain freight brokers. And so you want to use freight brokers because they're going to get you the best quotes, and they're going to search a bunch of different trucking providers and find you the best pricing and also the best quality. And they also provide white glove delivery services for certain like furniture and stuff like that. So there's 3 of them. One's Freight Club, the other is Global Trans, and the other is Unishippers. These are all 3 that I work with and my other students work with and that my colleagues work with. So all of them have great reviews and everything else across the web, so they're really good. So in this lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to sign up with each one. So Freight Club separately, and then Global Trans and Unishippers. You can choose which one you end up wanting to work with more for your business, because each one kind of has its own things. So just look below for the lesson videos on how to set up each particular one, and we'll go from there.